right, well, welcome back to Perspectives. To our followers, thank you so much for tuning in. And to our new listeners, as always, welcome. On Perspectives, we discuss a variety of human resources and industrial relations topics within the workplace from both a millennial, me, and a boomer, John, points of view. We discuss topics like human rights and employment, harassment in the workplace, volatile terminations, risk management solutions, strategic business initiatives, unionization, how to avoid unionization, all that fun stuff. So today we're going to dive into the world of vacations, a looming financial headache that we perceive employers will inevitably face in 2021. Now, to be honest with you, vacations for me have always been a bit of a challenge as an HR professional. It's a difficult concept to grasp. And for those of you who do not know, vacation is actually based on both vacation time and vacation pay, a clear distinction that needs to be brought up before we kind of go into this topic. So for those of you who are listening, vacation time and vacation pay are two separate things. So John, with all of that being said, I mean, recently you've had many discussions with your clients about vacation entitlement, specifically what employees will be actually entitled to in 2021. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, thanks, Joss. Yeah, the reason it's surfaced at this point in time is that in March of this year, all employees in Canada basically went down. There was massive layoffs. Since that time has been converted to a leave of absence here in Ontario. But when you think about it, in that period of time, this is normally a time also when people would have been taking vacations that they would have earned back in 2019 for 2020. So we already have the situation where there's a good likelihood that people did not take vacation in 2020. So the 2019 vacation is still out there as one of those issues that has to be resolved. Some folks, some employers believe it's a you use them or you lose them. Not so. That is money that is held in trust. In fact, it should actually be on your balance sheet as a liability for the organization. So I believe that we're going to find a lot of situations where employees still have vacation that is outstanding from 2019 into 2020, and now we're about to go into 2021. So now we have to add to that what was earned in 2020. Remember, this is an earned benefit. It starts the minute you start your employment, and you are getting either a 4% or 6% per annum, depending upon where you are in Canada, and that is accruing. Where the problem really arises in a major way is how you characterize your vacation as it relates to your policy manual. So the way the Employment Standards Act in most of the jurisdictions in Canada, they refer to it as a percentage of earnings. So it might be 4% of earnings in provinces like Ontario, 6% like provinces in Saskatchewan, but these are earned benefits and they start right immediately when a person starts their employment. But we've got policy manuals where they basically mimicked that kind of language, namely, okay, you've worked a year, you're entitled to 4% of your earnings, that's 10 days, and now you get them with pay to be taken in the following 10 months. That sounds simple enough. But we have situations where that very 10 days a year, which is also, by the way, 5/6 of a day per month, is not reflected in percentages, but it's reflected in days with pay. So all of a sudden now, I am an employee under a policy manual that says I'm accruing at the rate of 5/6 of a day per month, which is after 12 months, 10 days, that I'm entitled to take in the subsequent year. Those are legal entitlements. So whether it's described as days or as described as a percentage, both are legally okay. Where the problem arises is when people are not at work. They're accruing continuous service, especially here in Ontario, where in fact everything was converted to the leave of absence. So everyone is earning continuous service in the non-union world. And if it's described as a days with pay, every month that the person has been on this leave under idle is in fact earning 5/6 of a day if they're entitled to 4% or 2 weeks. And that is accruing to them for 2021. So we will probably find ourselves in a situation where people have actually got monies again, still owing from 2019, that should have been carried and exhausted in 2020, now moving into 2021. So we are going to find that people where the percentage is not described, they are going to have a liability of 2019, 2020, irrespective of whether the person was working or not. So the financial pain associated with this on your balance sheet is going to be significant. So let's take the percentage approach for a moment, which is the one that again is prescribed at law. And if a person was earning at the rate of 5/6 of a day or 4% or 2 weeks per year, but at 4%, if they were off from March until the end of December on a leave of absence, which so many people in fact are, they would be earning time off. But to Joss's earlier point, they're not earning any money because it's a percentage of earnings. So if there's zero earnings, there's zero vacation pay owing. So that is what I consider to be probably the most significant item that, apart from termination costs, that we're going to be encountering in 2021. And as I mentioned earlier, this is money that is held in trust by the employer for the employees. It is not a use it or lose it, and it is going to come home to roost in 2021. And by the way, there's a further actual problem with this, and that is, let's just say for the sake of argument, you want people to come back, but you've got all this accrued vacation. When you want these people to come back, they may very well say, well, I think I'm going to go on vacation now. The very time that you need them back to work, they may in fact have a legitimate right to go off on vacation, and lots of it.
So John, that well said. I mean, I find vacations, I find them a little confusing because they're supposed to be, oh yeah, here's your employment contract, you get 2 weeks of vacation, but really that 2 weeks is earned. You don't just start off with 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks unless on a case-by-case basis, and the different policy manuals say different things. But I want to take that back to the point about if somebody were to come back and they have all this outstanding vacation they had earned in 2019 and 2020. How do you feel about forced vacations? Can employers force your staff to go on vacation or not?
The short answer is yes, they can. Yes, they can. You'll find in many cases, certainly it's been in the past, in the manufacturing environment, you've actually had plant shutdowns. So literally everybody went off vacation for 1 or 2 weeks in the summertime, and that was part of the prescribed vacation. That's probably the easiest thing to do in order to discharge that liability. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really important to know that you really want to discharge this on an annual basis. Now, we certainly have clients who have the vacation entitlement. In other words, people can actually get access to the vacation before they've earned it. Now, that's all well and good, as long as you actually have a form signed by the employee, in effect, authorizing for that specific issue that vacation pay that is not earned yet may be deducted from their last pay. And that authorization for payroll deduction is so very fundamentally important, because in the absence of that, you can't deduct anything from their last pay of a person. And we are going to find, as we go into this world of termination in 2021, people are going to be asserting not only their rights at termination costs, but they're going to be asserting, I've got so much vacation still owing to me. I've got so much leave time still owing to me, which is another thing that people, in fact, are receiving. And we're going to have some serious issues in terms of reconciling some of those costs.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I think all of that is completely bang on. For those of you who are just tuning in now, we're kind of got a little bit lost throughout that discussion. Employers can force employees to take vacation. They can. So, yeah. Thanks, John.
I was going to say, we really don't want to force them. We would prefer that it is something that the parties mutually agree to. But in order to finally discharge your liability in every given year, and make sure now it's the year that is not the first year of employment, it's in fact the second year that you actually are enforcing that rule, then you can absolutely do it. And in fact, discharge that liability.
Yeah. Well, again, a boomer and a millennial perspective, I think you should definitely force your employees to take vacation, especially now as the year comes to an end. It's time to get that liability out of there and get them on vacation. My perspective, your perspective's different.
I was going to say, you're a tough employer there,
I
Joss.
know.
All millennials were nice people.
I'm nice. I'm very nice, but I will tell you nicely, it's time to take vacation. All right. Well, thanks, John, for your perspective and your feedback. It's always interesting hearing your initiatives on how businesses can save money and how to make sure that they are compliant and find themselves in a better position than they were previously. So we discuss all these types of topics through our social media channels as well. We also post important updates on like different compliances and statutes for employers. As an example, EIDL in Ontario was just extended till July 3rd, 2021. That was a new update. So check it out if you haven't seen it yet. You can follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube to hear more. Thanks, John. Stay safe, stay healthy, and Happy New Year.
You too. See you,
Thanks.
Joss.